spreading enemy propaganda. So now it has the color of war. So, you can't just shut it down. You shut it all down, which is exactly what Zelensky did. Shut down all of the opposing political parties, shut down all of the opposing political news outlets. I think you're exactly right. He's showing them sort of the blueprint, and they're following it. I mean, Germany's just, I'm not sure if they implemented it or not, but they were talking about basically closing their borders to any German men who are of draft age. So if you were 18 to 50 in Germany, you had to get permission to leave because they want to draft you and kill you. And you said it at the end of the last segment that this is all about control. They want to control people that they don't already control. And if they try to control them and the people don't want to be controlled, then they get liquidated. They get taken out and replaced with people who are more amenable to the top-down control. It's so sick and it's so in your face, and yet the media here in America, I mean, people have no idea that this is going on. To some degree, our audience and people who watch us are aware of what Ukraine was even before the war, the basically world headquarters for human trafficking and underage sex slavery. I mean, Ukraine was very well known for that. And it's only, of course, increased. So when you say 52 to 20 to 25, how many of those have fled Ukraine, and how many of those have died in your estimation? Because that is one of the biggest, concentrated genocides the world has ever seen. If you're talking 20 million people, how many of them have fled? Not that it matters to the future of Ukraine, but I mean, those numbers are staggering.
Well, accordingly, what I remember from the figures I just stumbled across, about 5 million Ukrainians basically ends up in Russia, who are decided when the coup happens, who moved later on, who tried to bring their relatives, and there is many of them here. They integrated, they working. There is no issue with them because this is a Russian people. We have no difference, the way we think, the way we, speak, we are the same people. Now, about 7 million of them eventually somewhere in Europe. Okay, so we're talking about already 13 million. And plus there is also, I would say, long-standing immigration, because Ukrainian gastarbeiters or guest workers was a very well-known phenomenon way before. They've been widely used in all European countries, France, Italy, Spain, Portugal, eventually because they went to look where they can, earn some money or more money that they can earn in Ukraine. So total, that's becoming maybe for, another 20 millions plus reduction of the birth rates. Right now, the birth rates in Ukraine collapse like worse in the world, because of the, this government completely destroyed and neglected healthcare. Of course, there is a war. Of course, there is a shortages of electricity, of the heat in the winter. And apparently now there is a problem. Ukrainians discussing that they need to come to the at least ceasefire or peace agreement before the winter kicks in, because they understand they can't survive another winter because nothing is functioning. And this was destroyed as an answer, or I would say, response action of Russian side for what they tried to hit, in Russia. We didn't start the infrastructure war. If you remember, it was the West was puzzled why the Russia didn't, from the first day, didn't destroy the electricity grid, bridges, water supply. I mean, name it. But that's why Russia declared not the all-out war, but special military operation. They tried to only, bring and destroy military targets. And right now, majority of the targets are hit in, especially Kiev, are basically Ukrainian military industrial complex production centers or logistics centers. And since Ukraine ran out of interceptors, and despite Trump promised them license one day, then said, no, I never promised, we can't give Ukraine a license, and we never know where is this interceptor will end up. He absolutely right. The Ukraine become a basically huge black market of the reselling American armaments and the system sophisticated weapons to all over the world. And the security factor and the main product now Ukraine can export, it's not grain, it's not machinery, it's not the agriculture products, dairy or meat, it's basically terror. And now they become very good at exporting terror, and
Yo,
believe
what
me, not
up,
on the
Junk
Russian. By the way,
Junk
very,
Boy?
very interesting facts. You remember we've been talking about call centers where the Ukrainians used to run in Ukraine scamming the Russians. And they've been making a lot of money. Was a huge, social problem in Russia because many ordinary people, including some people I know, been victim of this scamming. They're using that they know very well language. They're trying to pose themselves as either, agents of the law enforcement, telling that they are now part of certain operations. They need to do this. They need to, do something. Then somebody else calling said, "Oh, your, account at the special program where you deal with government was compromised. The
Yo,
crooks got access to it. You need
yo,
to move all your money safely withdraw from another account, give to our, a special agent, and he will deposit to the safe account."
the latest version
Many
of
people
Steam.
lost their money. Many people lost their property by this. So, and this requires a lot of the efforts from Russian side to solve it, or at least get somewhat under control.
Right.
Every day on Russian media, there is a basically advertisement warning them, do not answer unknown people, that law enforcement never will call you on phone or messengers, never offering you to participate in this kind of the, undercover operations. But apparently, Ukrainians have been scamming Europeans and Americans in the way more, magnitude that they've been scamming Russians. So basically, think of the situation. The United States taxpayers, European taxpayers, whatever they can afford, they send everything to Ukraine. Now it's what total count over, I guess, $500 billion with a B. Whatever support and help was sent to Ukraine during these last 5 years. And how it comes that Ukrainians, a part of recycling and paying back to these corrupt leaders, have been scamming population of those countries who've been basically supporting them.
Yeah.
For me, I couldn't yet wrap my mind around this, situation.
Well, and it sort of all connects, as you were talking about, the Trump administration being so sort of openly corrupt now, selling their influence like this. One of the big things that got Trump elected in the first place was people so infuriated at Joe Biden and his son and the corruption that they were involved in Ukraine. So it becomes this black hole of corruption, and that seemingly Trump is having a great time in and taking advantage of himself now. Totally infuriating to anybody that was actually watching this and was genuinely upset at the way that, it was a lot of people. It was the Bidens, it was the Pelosi's, it was the Romneys. A lot of them had their fingers in the Ukraine pie there, getting their own, which I was upset at that because it's corruption. I'm upset that Trump is doing it because it's corruption, and it's sad to see him go down this road. It really does feel like they are just looting everything they can before they shut it down. Kind of like a big investment company will buy a small company and just loot it for everything and then bankruptcy. That seems like what's happening here, not just with Ukraine, but with all of Europe. They're trying to get the most out of it that they can before just collapsing the whole thing. And we know that Goldman Sachs and BlackRock, they literally have agreements with the Ukrainian government to rebuild afterwards. So, they're seeing this as a giant piggy bank, I guess. How does Russia and Iran maintain? I have to admit, they're so patient, and I wish I wasn't saying this because I'm an American. I wish I could support my country's actions totally unabashedly, but that's just not the case. And right now I look at the way Iran and Russia, they seem to only ever respond when Ukraine starts bombing their infrastructure. Russia responds in kind. That strategic sort of patience has paid off and has been very valuable because of the success that they're having now. But that can't be easy to sell to the Russian people, who are probably getting a little bit impatient with the way things are going. Can you talk a little bit about that, about the usefulness of sort of the strategic calm that seems to come out of Iran and Russia?
Well, the Russian leadership got
Can't follow me,
the
bro. That's a
dilemma
lie.
whether they're going to declare all-out war or declare special military operation. Well, special military operation basically allowed, Russian society function as normal. Basically, I would say till the, like last 6 months, majority of the country has no changes in their lifestyle. Yes, there is was certain sanctions, certain, difficulties to, to get the products you've been used to because European manufacturers, American manufacturers would not supply or shut down their offices and go. But then 6 months, they basically, with the help and of course, not only help, but I would say with the Ukraine was only used as a cover, start attacking deep inside the Russia. Of course, the population also feel the pressure and the many wants way more, not only reaction or answers, but they want decisive, final blow to the Ukraine to finish this war. And whenever happen, then we will deal later with the, how we construct what we do with this territory. But for us, this is an issue of national security. We can't just leave or sit on the table with Zelensky or any other because we perfectly know they will just buy the time to rearm, regroup, and continue this war. And it's for globalists is ideal idea. It's ideal situation. As late Lindsey Graham would say, it's the best investment America did.
Right.
We know Ukrainians basically, for cheap, sacrificing their own lives to do what we want to do, which means to inflict to Russia strategic defeat. Apparently, it doesn't work. They're out of options. They're running out of the ammunition. And still, Europeans forget one, and America, one very important factor. Russia, in comparison to Iran, is a nuclear power, and we have a very modern, sophisticated arsenal of the strategic nuclear weapons, including hypersonic means of delivery, which is United States still only on process of testing. It's already our army have them on their combat duties. So, of course, now in this light, strategic patience of our leadership, I would say it's wisdom. Of course, it's come with a cost, but this is maybe position of adult in this daycare where all the kids become, crazy when they've got the credit card and went to order whatever they want to order. But when the reckoning day coming, who's going to pay the price? Population of these countries. And here we are in the era of developed democracies, freedoms, coming to very strange situation when apparently democracy dying as we speak. I think the democracy as we used to know it in the West are basically dead. We need to declare that they officially dead and arrange for the funerals. What would be post-democracy world? We don't know. But look how it's going with the election, even in the United States, with the preparation in Europe, with all the ratings of the leadership plummeted very close to the ground level, and they still on power. And believe me, they don't want to leave this power. And for them, Ukraine is a good, playbook how to achieve it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And I mean, the absurdity of claiming that we are defending democracy in Ukraine when the man is not elected. Ukraine is run by Zelensky, who was supposed to leave office like 3 years ago at this point or whenever it was. I mean, the whole thing is absurd. And I hate to laugh, but it's exactly accurate. The adults in the playground. I mean, that really is how it feels. It feels like our leadership is a bunch of children that are incapable of recognizing the consequences of their actions just a few years down the road. And it's very dangerous, this game that they're playing. I completely agree with you. And it's a bit of an insult to tell us that we're a democracy when they do absolutely nothing to people that they want. I in many ways would rather they just come out and say, no, we're a tyranny. Then we'd actually know what we're dealing with. But it's this manipulation is beyond frustrating. Well, thank you so much for being with us, as always, Victor Bout. We got about a minute left. Final thing you want the American audience to know about the current developments in the worldwide conflict taking place?
Well, I think for us, for all the population of this planet, it's really time to come together and decide what we still can do to prevent the not only collapse of economy, we can deal with that, but the problem is if the nuclear conflict as a world war will break out, it's end of the life in the planet the way we know it. It's end of the human civilization. Then I don't know how many millions years, whoever survives can reach again same level of civilization. But eventually, we as a humans either not ready, either do not feel responsibility, because the way we are right now, we maybe can be allowed only to have sticks to fight each other, definitely not nuclear weapons. And until we, liberate ourselves from this global cabal of the globalists and all kind of the satanist sects, we are basically doomed for the extinctions. So
absolutely,
let's pray that it ain't happening.
Amen. Thank you so much, Victor Boot. Follow him at RealVictorBoot on X.
My fellow patriots, the first thing the globalists and the leftists do when they want to silence you is go after your merchant accounts. Go after your business payment systems. It's that simple. They try to cut off your ability to even receive money or make payments. If you are a conservative business owner, Google is watching you. Meta, Facebook is watching you. Amazon, all of the major big tech is watching you. If you think for 1 second that they are not orchestrating and coordinating their efforts behind the scenes to take you offline and out of business and render you harmless to the system and the machine, you are wrong. The question is not if, it's when. Stripe, Shopify, PayPal, Square, they're all part of the same big tech machine. Because once there's only one central system, they can bring in the universal credit score. The head of BlackRock, Larry Fink's been very clear. Once they have this system in place and they're close, they are going to shut down everybody that isn't part of their system, even people that aren't political. This is about total control. They've just got to get to the patriots that are opposing them to get to you. And FirstUnitedPayments.com stands directly in the tyrant's way. My fellow Americans, this is your call to action. Call or email First United Payments now and ask them how you can protect your business against the globalist predatory attacks and shutdowns today. And talk to a real human here in the good old US of A by calling toll-free 877-899-1313. You've got to be able to have your own business. You've got to be able to operate without these globalist sharks, this mafia shutting you down. And First United Payments is the tip of the spear. Proven warriors, ladies and gentlemen, in this fight. Online merchants, this is the place for you. Now visit FirstUnitedPayments.com right now.
Days, weeks, and even years ahead of the news cycle. AlexJonesLive.com is tomorrow's news today.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Alex Jones Show, AlexJonesLive.com. I'm your host, Harrison Smith, sitting in for Alex for this final hour of his broadcast. Now I'm going to stay in the chair for the first hour of War Room, and then Rex Jones is going to take over for the final 2 hours of War Room, starting at 4 p.m. Central today. But I'm with you for the next 2 hours, and we have a lot of videos and stories to cover. I want to start this hour with a video showing that the phenomenon, the attack of immigration destroying and hollowing out American industry, is in no way new. Here's a little mini documentary about how this exact practice destroyed the shrimping industry for Americans all the way back in 1975. Let's watch.
They made it impossible to do anything.
Who's harvesting all the shrimp now?
Well, all that's left is what little bit of bait houses are left is the Vietnamese. They found a foothold. They're the last survivors.
There was a big conflict with the Vietnamese.
That was big in 1975.
Can you talk to that?
The Catholic Church brought them over.
Can you talk to me the beginnings of that conflict and explain?
Well, the beginnings of it, it didn't affect us because we were down in the lagoon. It affected Rockport, 30 miles up the coast here, 25 miles up the coast. It affected them big time. That's where they relocated. They brought in them refugees, the Catholic Church, and bought them boats and set them up. Catholic Church. They call them NGOs now, I guess. And it really infuriated the locals. They said, hey, we had to work for everything. They're getting everything free. Well, one thing you got to hand to Vietnamese, and I know I knew quite a few of them back then. I don't know them. They're all dead now. They were industrious and never stopped. Well, here's the catch, Andrew, so you'll understand. You could actually buy 3 licenses per boat: bait, bay, and Gulf. So you could harvest year-round if that was your bag. You had a big enough boat, you go in the Gulf certain times of year, big enough boat, go in the bays certain time of year, and a certain time of year go in the smaller lagoons. So that's how they function. But here was the key. The bait license was unlimited. Excuse me. It had a limit, but it was no time frame. 24/7. What did the Vietnamese do? They got out there in a shrimp boat. What we do, we go out and harvest it like 1 or 2 hours at night and go home. We'd have plenty. Quit. So we let them bays rest. Not them. They went out there and 24/7 that motor never shut off. They drag and drag and drag. And pretty soon we kept telling Parks Wildlife, hey, there's nothing left. They're killing everything. They wouldn't touch them. A lot of animosity, bad management, bad political decisions. And when they finally started cracking down a little bit, this is a true story. Rockport used to have grass beds, all kinds of ecosystems out there. There ain't one blade of grass in that summit when they got finished. They plowed that bastard with them shrimp nets, wiped it out.
Wow. At the peak of tension, I imagine there was probably some kind of fighting or death threat.
Oh yeah, they couple of them got killed. They put a grenade in one Vietnamese boat, blew it up. What else? They shot a white guy, killed his ass. I can't remember his name.
Killed his ass.
A couple of Vietnamese got shot. Then Texas Rangers come in and said, stop that. It stopped. It flared up for about 8 or 10 months there.
Why were these Vietnamese coming over? Were they part of the Hmong people?
I don't know what exactly region, but it was just, I guess it was at evacuation in Hanoi, 1975. It was just a group. I don't know if it was 50, 100, or 200 or 300. And, but they all located, a lot of them located Galveston to Rockport, but Rockport was kind of a stronghold. It's ironic today, the youngest ones are about my age, and they still got the ethic, they still work, they still got a few boats over, not many. But the young ones that were Americanized, worthless. They don't do none of, they don't work. They just drive around in sports cars and fancy clothes. They spend all that money. I can remember going over there and they'd have a shrimp boat and the whole family.
It's been a while, folks. It's been a while this has gone on. It's a funny comment at the end there that the Americanized teenagers were worthless. The second and third generation have been infected by the poison of liberalism, no longer want to work hard, no longer appreciate what America is. They don't have the memory of communism that maybe their forefathers did. Difficult situation. We'll be right back with a lot more, folks. Stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bigley has launched an online pharmacy, 1776rx.health. It's one product we're launching with, my decision, and that is ivermectin with benzidol, both powerful, really good anti-parasitics. It doesn't just get the big worms and all the crap that's out there. It's amoebas, it's microplasms. It is so important. These two together, I mean, ivermectin is a Nobel Prize winning for this, but benzidol is the big one. And folks, it isn't just parasites. Just search benzidol studies. Just put that into a search engine, and you'll see congressional hearings, you'll see top scientists, you'll see all the studies on what else it does that they don't want you to know about. It's dramatic. So, and you won't know if you had any type of parasitical deal or whatever until you've done this. And a lot of people went there yesterday. A lot of people got it. Very smart move. 1776rx.health.
The program leftists failed to silence. It's the Alex Jones Show.
The show the leftists failed to silence. It wasn't just the leftists, right? The show that the entire combined effort of the New World Order failed to even slow down. The program who had and has at this moment entire government programs focused on destroying us, and yet we have not just survived but thrived thanks to your support at thealexjonesstore.com. It really is astonishing. And it's worth reminding ourselves. We were supposed to go away in 2018. We were supposed to, when they kicked us off all the platforms, we were supposed to go away as a consequence of the lawsuits. We were supposed to go away 100 times over. I'm sure they were popping bottles of champagne when they kicked us off every platform at once all on the same day, thinking there's no way they can survive that. They underestimate our power to their own detriment. Our power, of course, being the support of our audience and the brilliance of the Alex Jones store, the AlexJonesStore.com. That's the reason we've been able to survive, because we did not rely on payment processors like Patreon who could kick us off and cut our income without a backup plan. We didn't rely on anything other than your commercial support. We are simply humble water filter merchants. We are simple supplement merchants. And at the end of the day, as fallen and broken as America is, it has to have some semblance of capitalism to survive. And the people at the top, our worst enemies, people using their positions of power to destroy the world and enslave humanity, they require capitalism to carry out their plan. So we've taken an aspect of their plan, a core aspect, a core component of their operation, and we've used it ourselves to grow and to prosper and to build this incredible weapon system in the information war. So we have to have, at the end of the day, America has to have capitalism. What does that mean? That means people who want to sell things can sell them to people who want to buy things, and there's not too much the government can do to stop it, unless it's dangerous or illegal, which obviously nothing we sell is. So there you go. What are they supposed? What can they do? You know, when it comes to being online, they can take ownership of the platform and then ban you. When it comes to relying on subscription platforms like Patreon, they can oust you for whatever reason at a whim, deny you not just the money that you would be receiving that people want to give to you, but, you know, cut off your communication with your supporters. Because we built our own system, we didn't have to rely on anybody. Because we had our own functional commerce system where we have great products, you need great products, and then we use the funds from that to build this great studio, this great media outlet, this great website, AlexJonesLive.com, pay for the writers and the editors and the entire, you know, back end that is necessary to operate this truly unique and substantial media outlet on it. It just sounds, you know, just to put us in the same group as other quote unquote media outlets, it feels degrading, but no, we're something else. We're something a little bit above and beyond, and you don't have to believe us. You can ask all the people trying to destroy us, because they seem to recognize how powerful and dangerous we are. It's why they put so much effort into destroying us, not knowing that we knew what they were going to do a long time ago and set up a system that was resilient and redundant and incapable of being destroyed from the outside. Really, if they want to destroy us, the only thing they could possibly do is try to discredit us somehow, because at the end of the day, we do operate entirely on our credit, on our reputation, on our audience knowing that when they support us, they're supporting an outlet that will doggedly pursue truth no matter where it leads, who will tell you the truth no matter how it makes us feel or how it makes us look. And, you know, maybe if I was a more, you know, proud or arrogant person, I would have clung on to, you know, MAGA and Trump and, you know, desperately trying to spin that in a positive way. But we're not going to do that, even if it would help us, even if it would give us political, you know, access to certain people. We just aren't going to do it, because if we lie to our audience, you think our audience is going to keep supporting us? You think our audience is going to keep going to the AlexJonesStore.com if they start hearing us tell lies? Of course not. It's literally impossible for us to continue to operate and not tell the truth, because we set it up this way. This is how we want it. If you like us telling the truth, you'll go to the AlexJonesStore.com. You'll support us. We'll stay on the air. If you don't, you won't, and we'll go away. It is literally as simple as that, and that is entirely my motivation, my, you know, the pressures on me. It's like, I'm not worried about what some sponsor is going to think I'm saying. And I'm telling you, folks, I say this not only, you know, to remind you of like the value and the importance of what we have here at the Alex Jones Network, but because it is genuinely the greatest blessing I've ever received. I talk to everybody on the right wing. I talk to the independent people and the people in big organizations. None of them have the same freedom that we do. I'm telling you, none of them. Because even the most disassociated, like they're just a solo person that's just doing their thing, they almost certainly have donors. Almost everybody else has these people they call donors, people who give you a bunch of money and then want something in return. What those big donors want in return is for you to maybe change your coverage a little bit, or maybe don't cover this thing that makes them look bad. We don't have to worry about that. And I'm serious when I talk to other people about it, and I have a hard time not being like, sucks for you, bro. Because I talk to other people like, oh, it sucks, I wish I could. I'm just like, you should have back in the 90s set up a supplement store so that you could sell products to customers and they could come back and buy them over and over. And then you don't have to worry about some billionaire pulling your strings. It's actually brilliant. Obviously, I take no credit for this. This was all Alex Jones's foresight in setting this up. I've gone on long enough. I think the people listening to my voice know this already, but it is not something to be taken lightly. It's not something that we take lightly. This freedom that you give us to tell the truth, we hopefully earn and return in kind by telling you the truth and not being bound by donors, but also not being bound by our own desires and our own vision of how we want things to go. We're just going to tell you how they are, and we trust that you're smart enough to untangle all of the knotted up bits in the meantime. In other words, it's very complicated. What's going on is simultaneously extremely simple and deeply complicated. We're going to try to untangle the knots and tell you what's actually going on and reveal to you that as convoluted and nonsensical as it all seems, at the end of the day, if you know their actual motivations of the people in charge, if you're actually aware of what they're actually trying to achieve, none of it really seems all that strange or confusing or complicated at all. My sort of unofficial slogan, you might say, would just be, it's not that complicated, because at the end of the day, it is not that complicated. And to, illustrate some of this, let's go to some videos that went viral over the weekend of debates at the Oxford Union. Now, the history of Oxford Union is very interesting. It is a little bastion of free speech, and it came about because there were certain topics or certain, I'm blanking on the exact details, but essentially the College of Oxford would not hold these types of debates, and so they created the Oxford Union, where you could go and have a real raucous and high-level debate where you could express anything, where there's sort of no holds barred, very limited rules as to what you could say or how you could present it. And it's become this very unique sort of place where these very high-level people go and argue this stuff out, often with students there at Oxford. This argument, this debate, also has some interesting actions around it, some confusion around it. Apparently it wasn't supposed to be released, but then clips of it got released, and then they released the whole thing in order to quell some of the rumors about it. Essentially, the question being asked and being responded to is, do we trust Islam? Is Islam to be trusted, or should we be suspicious of it? We, of course, in this case being the people of the UK, should the people of the UK be suspicious that perhaps, I don't know, their ancient liberties are being stolen from them slowly but surely in an incremental fashion by the massive and continuing influx of Sharia-adherent Muslims? One video went totally viral out of this, and I'll show you that right now, but that's really not the video that stuck with me. This is not the clip that I would have said is the most valuable out of this debate. I'll show you that one just after this first one, but here's the one that went totally viral. Clip 18, this is one of the sort of pro-Muslim debaters accidentally she threatens. She basically threatens Tommy Robinson with death, except for the mercy of her fellow Muslims. It's kind of a crazy thing to admit. Let's watch.
Stephen Yaxley Lennon, known to his hooligans as Tommy Robinson. Stephen, there is a crowd outside rioting against you tonight, and without the protection and generosity of a Muslim Palestinian president and a mostly South Asian executive committee, you would be quite literally cooked.
Okay, that seems a bit inappropriate. So there's a mob rioting, bang for Tommy Robinson's blood. And her response to this is to say, you're lucky that there are some moderate Muslims here to restrain them, I guess. I guess that's the point she's making. A couple things about this. For one, It's obviously just threat. It obviously, in no uncertain terms, proves everything that the Tommy Robinson side was saying. In other words, saying it's dangerous to let Muslims into our country because at a certain population level, they will achieve political power and they'll be able to impose themselves on the UK citizens with no limitation or restriction or ability for the natives to defend themselves. Basically, all this is saying is that we're almost at that point and we're getting there. The other thing that sort of stands out to me is this idea that she's like, you're only here because there's a Pakistani leader of the union and a whatever. And it's like, do you not see how that is also a problem? Like, yeah, okay, maybe they are quote-unquote moderate Muslims that aren't actively feeding Tommy Robinson to the cannibalistic mob outside. Great, well done, but also why are people with Star Wars names in charge of every single office in the UK, it seems? Why is it that there is not a single white British person that is capable or ambitious enough or willing to serve in these positions? Why have they all been taken over by striving Middle Easterners and Asian people? And how could that possibly be a good thing? How could that be, defended? And the point is that to oppose that needs no defense. In other words, for an English person to say, I don't want my government or my culture's highest offices occupied by foreigners, you don't need to justify that position in any way. And you, as a whoever's listening to me, whoever you are, I guarantee you, if you're an American, if you're a genetic European, if you're a white person, you would not question if some foreign state, some Japanese person said, hey, we want Japanese people in our office. It'd be like, yep, of course you do. Why not? If some Saudi Arabian said, we actually only allow Saudi Arabians to occupy any position of power in our government, you'd be fine with that, wouldn't you? You'd say exactly right. Get those colonists out of here, those white colonialists trying to, gain power in your country. Expel them. You'd be perfectly happy with it. It's the people of the UK's own internalized, a combination sort of arrogance and self-hatred. It's very weird. There's an arrogance of like, what's the problem with foreigners running our country? We're white. We're fine. This is no problem. There's still more of us than there are of them. It's just like arrogance that you don't have to care about the problem. While simultaneously, like, people actually genuinely think it's like a good thing to have some crazy Hindu guy with a big beard and a turban sitting in a UK judge's robe. They see nothing wrong with that. I do see something wrong with that, just like every other culture would see something wrong with that. It's only white people, and specifically the UK, people of the UK have been really hammered down on this. But like I said, that to me was a bit of a look behind the curtain, a bit of a flash of honesty from a population otherwise very comfortable in disguising their open aggression and hostility towards the UK. But I thought this clip was much, much more significant and more telling. It is a person on the side of the UK in this argument saying that we should be suspicious of Islam. Now watch as he prepares, watch the reaction and the chaos and the panic. I mean, you can feel the panic rising as this man threatens to pull out a picture of the Prophet Muhammad in Oxford, UK. Okay, I mean, gets a little tense. Let's watch.
52% compulsory halal. I could go on and on and on and on. But most important to me is the free speech of this. So let's get this out, shall we? 78% of British Muslims believe that no publication should publish pictures of Muhammad. An overwhelming majority. That rises to 87%. That's 9 out of every 10 Muslims that are walking the streets today in a country which absolutely abandoned blasphemy laws. Suspicion is not strong enough a word. The West should resist Islam in the strongest terms on free speech grounds alone. So here we are with this cartoon, right? And it's time.
So he's got an envelope and he's opening it.
Submit. I will not adhere to the religious laws of far-off places. Now, my wife asked me not to show this for fear of repercussions in my family, but I told her that if I did not, then I had already submitted to Islam. So here we are.
Is it not enough that half the team that invited you to this debate were Muslim women who wanted to hear out your expression and your arguments? Is it not enough that I, as a Muslim president, have invited you to this chamber to give your arguments? Is that not enough justification and evidence for you to believe that we do believe in free speech? I would not become the president of a free speech society if not for this.
Thank you, Al. All right. May I? Thank you very much. May I finish? Excuse me.
A point of order having been raised, I will hear the ex-librarian.
It's a long time since I've been in this chamber and knew the rules off by heart. But in the House of Commons, and we model ourselves on the House of Commons, props are not allowed. I wonder whether the rule on props is the same in the Oxford Union.
I thank the honourable gentleman for his point of order.
Excuse me, for one second.
One moment.
In the absence...
Mr. Fox, one moment, Mr. Fox. The ex-president is also raising a point of order, I think.
Just it's helpful to inform the ex-librarian and others, at least my 4 years involved with society, that ban was not extended and didn't seem to apply to Israel or Palestine flag.
Thank you. So, right. I just want to wrap this up.
I am going to rule on the point of order. There is no bar in the forms of the House against the use of props. However, I would encourage Mr. Fox to make the point and move on.
I was until points of order. So it is in that spirit that I will not submit that I show you this as an Englishman who believes in free speech.
It is a caricature of Jacob Rees-Mogg. It is not a picture.
I will not bow down.
Of Muhammad.
Right. So, I think which rather proves the point I was trying to make, that in this envelope lived your fear, and your fear of Islam and what Islam will do to you that when you upset its very oversensitive sky wizard. And what lived in this room is a healthy and brilliant and noble British tradition of suspicion of Islam. I encourage you to pass the motion. Thank you very much.
So again, brilliantly done. Of course, it was me. I might actually show a picture of Muhammad because F that. And again, you know, people don't understand this. Long story short, what a brilliant way to illustrate the true character of Islam. The idea that he was about to show a picture of Muhammad inspires this outrage and fear. And even as I was watching it for the first time, I'm like, ooh, dude, because in Britain, the Islamists are in charge in a lot of cases, and like even not making an enemy out of them, you know, they'll target you and literally try to kill you. And you can ask Tommy Robinson or any of the other people who've made this mission their own over the last little while. But obviously you can't step down to this. So the man he insinuates that he's about to show a picture of Muhammad, and you immediately have the president of the union jump up and, is it not enough that we invited you here to show that we approve of free speech? And again, the way that she presents this is as if we invited you here because we do believe in free speech. We want to hear your side. We want to have an open discussion. But if you dare to overstep our cultural bounds, then you're insulting us. And basically, you're repaying our kindness and our generosity with this vicious hatred by disobeying our laws. Again, this doesn't really make sense to a Christian who's like, no, we have our laws. Why would we expect other people to obey them? It's not a mindset that we understand very well. To the Muslims, it's very well understood. It's understood as like the ultimate insult to Islam not to adhere to their prohibition against creating images of Muhammad. And I remember having this conversation back in like high school when there was a Muhammad cartoon drawing contest, and it was threatened to be bombed or shot up. And I remember saying at the time, like, well, now you have to draw the comic. Now you have to draw the picture. My friend being like, but why? But that's so insulting them. And it's like, no. I didn't even want to draw it. But the minute that you say, I'm going to kill you if you do this thing, if you insult me, I kind of have to. I kind of have to do it now because I kind of have to prove, even if I didn't want to do it before, now my not doing it will look like I've given in to you. And we can't let that precedent stand. So, again, brilliant, the way that he phrased it, that in this envelope was your fear of Islam. There was no picture of Muhammad. There was a cartoon of Jacob Rees-Mogg. But the idea that it might have been a picture of Muhammad had at least 3 different people standing up and trying to stop it from going forward out of fear. Remember, out of fear, not out of respect for Islam. These people are not like, oh, well, I would feel bad if we, insulted them. What they're thinking is, if you show that, they might bomb the building, and I don't want to die, so give in to the bullies, so give in to the threats and give in to the blackmail. Pathetic, utterly pathetic. And we've seen that the UK has given in to the blackmail, but so has America to a large degree. And it's time that we stood up against this with everything that we've got in every way that we can. And to expand it out a little bit wider, we'll get into some other stuff in the next segment. But I was just thinking about this because thinking about the relationship of immigration to the police, and we're going to show you videos of this Hong woman who's running for governor of Wisconsin. And she, of course, is big, anti-police, defund the police type of people. And I was thinking back to our early coverage of the defund the police movement, when I would say every time it was brought up, defund the police only means privatize the police or nationalize the police. And it seems like that's the direction that we're going. But I'd forgotten a key component of that, which is that quote-unquote minority populations, aka the global majority, when they're in white countries and are considered minorities, are given carve-outs for their own security. So I realized as I was playing this out in my head, moving forward, there's going to be a continued diminution and destruction of classic, traditional community policing. You're going to have rich people pay for private policing. You're going to have minority populations being given millions of dollars in grants from the government so that they can create their own police forces, like the Shamrim or the, Sharia law volunteers you see running around the UK. It's only going to be the regular middle-class people that are going to be denied protection. Everybody else is going to be armed and defended. It's another, path forward that we can recognize and divert if we so choose. We'll be right back.
Fellow patriots, the first thing the globalists and the leftists do when they want to silence you is go after your merchant accounts. Go after your business payment systems. It's that simple. They try to cut off your ability to even receive money or make payments. It's globalist siege. It's globalist economic warfare. It's a globalist blockade, an embargo, sanctions against American populist patriots. For everyone that's been watching and listening to me for years, you've seen the attacks, you've seen the deplatforming, you've seen the court battles, the news articles, the demonization, the bogus default judgments. We even have FBI and CIA operatives on hidden camera talking about how their entire goal was to take me out at the knees by knocking out my ability to accept payments. And that model they used on me, they admit, is for all of you.
Alex Jones.
Yeah, so we were after him.
So with Alex Jones, and the goal with him was what, just to bankrupt him?
Pretty much.
Well, because of First United Payments and your support, they failed. And they failed because I had a processor with a backbone who loves America and believes in the free market. One who stands up for American justice and who didn't back down when they received threatening messages and pressure from other major institutions. If you are a conservative business owner, Google is watching you. Meta, Facebook is watching you. Amazon, all of the major big tech is watching you. If you think for 1 second that they are not orchestrating and coordinating their efforts behind the scenes to take you offline and out of business and render you harmless to the system and the machine, you are wrong. The question is not if, it's when. Stripe, Shopify, PayPal, Square, they're all part of the same big tech machine. Consolidation, vertical integration, that is the goal of the BlackRock globalist system. Because once there's only one central system, they can bring in the universal credit score. This is the key to their entire panopticonic takeover plan in their own words. The head of BlackRock, Larry Fink's been very clear. Once they have this system in place and they're close, they are going to shut down everybody that isn't part of their system. even people that aren't political. This is about total control. They just got to get to the patriots that are opposing them to get to you. And FirstUnitedPayments.com stands directly in the tyrant's way. My fellow Americans, this is your call to action. Call or email First United Payments now and ask them how you can protect your business against the globalist predatory attacks and shutdowns today. Visit First United Payments now at FirstUnitedPayments.com and talk to a real human here in the good old US of A by calling toll-free 877-899-1313. That's 877-899-1313. The tyrants are counting on us not to innovate. They're counting on us not to migrate to institutions and organizations that are pro-human just like us. This is